This is a tweet from Maria Prokopets. Remote work is a challenge. My journey of going 100% remote was a struggle, loneliness, isolation, burnout, but it's now my superpower. I wrote a guide on how to stop struggling based on hundreds of tips and survey responses from remote workers. What I loved about this tweet was the combination of the struggle with remote work along with the superpower. I feel like the discussion around remote work is an either or. Some people who say remote work is the best. I would never do anything else. I love it. It's fantastic. Yeah, there's some problems, but it's the best. And then there's other people that are like, remote doesn't work for me. I tried it. It's never going to work for me. I hate it. I think the truth is that we're all moving to remote work, but in the same sense that, quote, everyone works in cities, which is true. I don't know, like people that work in major metro areas, it's like, I don't know, 90% of people or some large percent of people. To that same extent, it's going to be true that we're all going to work remote. There's going to be some massive percentage of people. Fundamental economics just make it make sense, whether that's 10 years out, 20 years out. I know people that have tried it and been like, oh man, this is so hard. And these issues are real. Isolation, loneliness, burnout are real issues. And depending on our personalities, some people deal with those better than others, but to the extent that we can find tools, techniques, and best practices to overcome those, I think that we'll all be able to do a better job of it. And so this is a great article that she wrote. I'm just going to zoom in on the bullet list of the best practices here. Number one, practice good meeting etiquette. Makes sense. Experiment with what makes you most productive. Makes sense. You got to experiment, and that's the thing is like, it's not like it works, it doesn't work. It's like, experiment, tried this, didn't work. Tried working in a coffee shop. Nah, kind of didn't work, kind of worked. Okay. Tried working in a library. Okay. That was a little better. Tried working at home. Had problems with, the kids. Okay. Let me put some boundaries. Let me do this 3 days a week. Let me combination of coffee shop, library. So I think you have to keep experimenting. Prioritize documentation and clear communication. Totally like documentation, put things in clear writing for the team versus relying on in-person meetings and then like the remote people pick up the crumbs. Create boundaries between work and life. Just touched on that. Make yourself visible at work. If you're remote, and it's like, oh, well, I don't know if I can get that promotion because I'm not on site. It should be about the work. So talk about the work that you're doing, talk about things you've completed, put it out there, share your wins. Number 6, schedule time for socializing. That's huge. That's something I've been working on personally and trying to get better at. Connect with your teammates. It's funny. I was talking about this 1 or 2 streams ago, this idea of like, if there's some kind of a product or service for mental health for remote workers, it would be such a game changer. And as I'm looking at this, I just sort of visualized like a dashboard that shows for each team member, it shows like, let's say all of these factors, right? Ultimately, there's going to be some list of KPIs for your sort of your mental health as a remote worker, and like where it would show like green, red, green, or yellow on each of them. And so, for example, socializing, right? That's something where typically your company is not going to care about whether you as an individual are socializing well in your personal life, but they should care. I mean, it's a part of the picture. And yeah, there's boundaries like, hey, don't encroach on my personal life. So there's a tension there, right? But like, and it's not to say that your company should know everything you're doing in your personal life. It's just if there's a red, green, or yellow of like, am I getting out to socialize once a week, 3 times a week? Those things are important. I think that would be a complicated balance to get right. And I think that's what would make this service so powerful. And also why it doesn't exist already. It's probably complicated to work out those details, but socializing is huge. Connecting with your teammates, also huge and a component of socializing. Do postmortems on key projects, build in accountability. Accountability is also a big thing for a lot of people, for everybody, but some people are able to keep themselves accountable. Define your and the team's responsibilities and focus on your health, right? So health, physical health, as well as such a huge component. So great article here from somebody that has seen both the positive side and the negative side of working remote.